More than 40 years after his final fight, many people still rank Muhammad Ali as the greatest athlete of all time. His legacy extended far beyond the boxing ring. He became a historical icon and symbol of the civil rights movement. This made him a target. He was even arrested and stripped of his world championship. His achievements read like a movie. Just 20 fights and 3 years into his career, at the age of 22, Muhammad Ali took the heavyweight boxing title from a defending champion. After defending it 9 times, he was stopped by Joe Frazier in the first fight of an epic trilogy. Known for his lightning-fast footwork and agility, the boxing world had never seen a heavyweight like this before. With punching power too, his career ended with 56 wins and 37 knockouts. This is the story of Cassius Clay and how he transformed himself into Muhammad Ali, blazing a historical trail by refusing to conform to anyone. Born in 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky, America was deeply divided at the time. Many schools were racially segregated, and a young Cassius Clay was even refused service in shops. These early experiences shaped Cassius's deep sense of justice. But a trigger point came in 1955 when an African-American teenager, Emmett Till, was kidnapped, tortured, and lynched. Like many others, Cassius was enraged by the brutality of the incident and that the perpetrators were acquitted of all charges. Around this time, he was introduced to boxing by a local coach. Cassius was 12, and he took to the sport quickly, showing a level of proficiency rarely seen in beginners. Changing coaches twice more, Cassius picked up over 100 amateur wins, leading up to a gold medal at the 1960 Summer Olympics when he was barely 18. By October of that same year, he was ready for the big stage, turning professional and quickly taking out several big names. What he became known for was his entertaining persona. Cassius would rile up his opponents and the public with his braggadocious attitude. He would continue trash-talking in the ring, seeming to never doubt his own abilities. Cassius's talent was undeniable. For a heavyweight, he was remarkably nimble and agile, and his punching power sent opponents staggering. His wins were not always convincing, leading some critics to doubt how the young star could really make it. One thing was for sure, he could generate interest in a fight like no one else. Crowds flocked to his fights, some hoping to see the big talker get humbled. 3 years later, he was selected for the biggest fight in Cassius's short career, for the heavyweight championship against reigning champion Sonny Liston. The public had little hope for Cassius winning the fight. Even boxing insiders judged him as a huge underdog. In the build-up, Cassius taunted and baited Liston. These mind games worked for more than just selling the fight. When the bell was rung for the beginning of the bout, it was clear that Cassius had gotten into his opponent's head. Liston opened the fight directly and aggressively, swinging wildly at Cassius straight out of the gate, trying to knock him out quickly. But Cassius dodged and weaved out of the line of fire, and in the following round began hitting Liston with some serious shots of his own. By the 6th round, Liston was taking a beating, and when the bell rang to begin the 7th round, he refused to get back in the ring. This meant that Cassius Clay was now the heavyweight champion of the world at just 22 years of age. He wasted no time declaring that he was the greatest to ever grace the sport. Climbing to the top of the boxing world, Cassius had not left his radical politics behind him. He had joined the Nation of Islam, a group that urged supporters to defend black people by any means necessary, including by supporting segregation. Ali rejected Cassius Clay as a slave name and revealed his new name, Muhammad Ali. The following year, he defended the title in a rematch against Liston, this time taking less than 2 minutes to win by knockout. But in the process of arranging a fight against WBA champion Ernie Terrell, Ali's political beliefs began getting in the way. He publicly refused to serve in the ongoing Vietnam War. In response, the Illinois Athletic Commission refused to greenlight the Ali vs. Terrell match. Ali still wanted to fight, so he went global, traveling through Canada and Europe to continue defending his title against the best the rest of the world had to offer. Ali was allowed to fight twice, arriving home before being stripped of the heavyweight title. His boxing license was suspended for 3 years, too. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for draft dodging, but remained free while he appealed the decision and never served time. Ali became the biggest name in the United States who refused to serve in the war. He considered himself a conscientious objector, arguing that while African Americans were denied simple human rights, they shouldn't be sent to war. In 1971, Muhammad Ali was set to face defending heavyweight champion Joe Frazier in what was billed as the fight of the century. Frazier had become champion while Ali was banned from boxing, was seen as pro-America as opposed to Ali. The hype around the fight was unlike anything ever seen before in boxing. The fight was held in Madison Square Garden, New York, and both fighters were guaranteed a purse of at least $2.5 million, equivalent to over $18 million today. Ali rolled out his usual trash-talking antics in the build-up. Unfortunately, though, he didn't have enough to back it up. He was out of form and Frazier was at his peak. Ali took a battering and was knocked down a handful of times. He resorted to lulling his body against the ropes to absorb the power of Frazier's hits. At the end of the fight, judges were unanimous in handing Frazier the victory. It was the first loss of Ali's career, bringing his record to 31-1. Ali immediately bounced back, steamrolling his way through 12 fighters until 1974, when he was ready to settle the score with Frazier. Their rematch was a much closer contest, a neck-and-neck battle that saw Ali's speed and strategy outmaneuver Frazier to earn a unanimous decision. With Frazier now in his rear mirror, Ali set his sights on George Foreman, who had taken the heavyweight title from Frazier a year earlier. What followed was dubbed the Rumble in the Jungle. Boxing promoters arranged for the two to fight in the Central African country of Zaire. An estimated 1 billion people tuned in on October 30th, 1974 to watch what was then the biggest event ever televised. The fight got off to an even start. In the second, though, Ali employed a tactic he had used against Frazier, where he pushed his body off the ropes, only allowing Foreman to connect with his arms and body. This became known as the rope-a-dope method, now considered a trademark of Muhammad Ali. It worked to tire Foreman out, giving Ali the chance to throw some shots of his own. In the 8th round, he dealt a series of deadly blows. Foreman was already exhausted, and the heavy punches left him stumbling around the ring in a daze. The referee stepped in to put an end to the fight. At last, Ali was champion again, a title he would hold for 3 more years. Unfortunately, those would have been prime years for him. Ali thought about retiring after his trilogy fight against Joe Frazier a year later in 1975. His doctor begged Ali to stop. He could see the damage it was doing to his liver and body. Ali's boxing was barely recognizable, slow, and unexciting. After losing 3 out of 4 fights, one of them viciously in 1981, he finally retired. Throughout his career, Ali made an example of himself, routinely giving a portion of his earnings to religious and philanthropic causes. Internationally, he drew attention to the Palestinian struggle and social issues across Africa. His image has endured as a force of social good, despite the extra pressure it attracted. From early in his career, he made himself a target of critics and commentators who doubted that he could back up his big talk. As his career progressed and he rose to be a global superstar, these attacks only intensified. His participation in the civil rights struggles is a huge part of his legacy. Muhammad Ali was included in the top 100 most influential people of all time. He remained an advocate for peace and justice until he died in 2016 at the age of 74. Ali changed what it meant to be an athlete. His trash-talking and showboating drew historical numbers to his fights, generating entertainment never seen before. This set the blueprint for what it meant to succeed at the top of the boxing world, but his personality went far beyond selling fights. Before him, black athletes were largely expected to remain silent, sticking to their expertise as physical competitors. But Ali broke the mold, transforming sporting prowess into a powerful source of social change. Ali leveraged his platform into a battleground for civil rights and social justice. No one can deny that he lived by his words, for Muhammad Ali was the greatest.